Hello shooters, my name is James Towle, and this is Stop the Threat. Date night. For many, this is the one evening you and your wife get out of the comfortable surroundings of your home and television, and once again act like newlyweds. It's also the night new relationships enter into that stage of mystery and romance. Commonly, date night centers around dinner and a movie. For this couple, it ended in one man's death just as the night was showing promise. Coming up next on Stop the Threat. On this week's episode of Stop the Threat, we look at a strong-arm robbery. This type of crime takes place between individuals. Strong-arm implies the use of a weapon. The most common place for it to happen is on your way to and from your car. Nearly half of all robberies occur on the streets, and there is a 60% chance that you will be facing a weapon. The odds go up significantly if you're being robbed by only one person. Needless to say, guns, knives, and other weapons make up 100% of all robberies. On this week's reenactment, we follow a young couple leaving a movie. In love and entirely distracted by the moment, they pause to embrace. Little did they know that that moment would end in tragedy, death, and months of legal red tape to justify the use of deadly force. Remember, when it comes to violence, there are legal repercussions. Therefore, we strongly advocate that you know the laws in your area and when you are justified in the use of deadly force. Shooters, let me introduce you to this week's panel. Rich Portwood graduated from Illinois State Police Academy and now senior patrol officer for the Jerseyville Police Department and firearms instructor. Hey, Rich, before I go any further, though, I did want to ask you, do you have a dedicated range?
We do have a range of our own for the police department. It's private for just the officers.
For just the officers. And your duty weapons?
It is a Glock 22.
Glock 22, okay. Kathy Jackson, editor of Concealed Carry Magazine, author of the best-selling book for women, The Cornered Cat, A Woman's Guide to Concealed Carry. Hey, what's your weapon of choice?
Glock 26.
Glock 26. Now, this is the concealed weapon that you use?
It is. It's the 9mm Glock, the smallest of the 9mm.
Okay. And Rob Pincus, professional firearms trainer, as well as managing editor of the Personal Defense Network. Now, you are internationally known.
Internationally,
Quickly
yeah.
tell me.
Well, we do a lot of distribution, of course, with the books and the DVDs, and I've been going over to Europe for the European version of SHOT Show and some training conferences, things like that, since 2006.
Well, I don't know how many of us knew that. I didn't. I apologize.
It's
I
a
didn't
small
know.
part of the business, but it's a good excuse to travel and get to work with guys all over the world and find out what they're teaching and, you know, exchanging ideas just like we're going to do here today.
Okay, good. Let me ask you this. You ever go to the movies?
I have.
Okay, good. Ever go to the movies?
All the time.
Yeah, from time to time.
All right, well,
They do
that's
let
good,
me out
because
of
that
the
brings
house.
us up to today's reenactment. This couple have gone out, and they have gone to a movie together, and maybe they've left a little bit early because they would like to do something else. Well, let's look at it.
So I think Mark Wahlberg's actually starting to get good at acting, which is really weird. That guy's terrible.
Well, that's not true. He's always been good at acting.
No, name once.
Well, I mean, he's so physical, which is great. You know,
But
he can do all the action
he's
movies.
He's a walking Boston bicep.
Oh my god. Which would you go to first, Ireland or Scotland?
That's a tough call. I mean, I try to do both at the same time.
So, do you think we could go play pool for a little bit and have some Guinness?
Well, God, you're awesome.
Very heartwarming.
Is it? Oh.
Very slowly. Hand over your money, jewelry, and your wallet.
Calm down. Just cooperate like we talked about.
Where are you going? Get back here.
She's
Get
fine.
back here.
Hey, she's fine. Here's my wallet. Credit cards aplenty, all right?
Shut it down.
Okay, we want to stop it right there. Hey, this is pretty common. It's at night. Obviously, they left early. I don't see anybody else in the parking lot. What's he done wrong?
So far, I don't see anything wrong.
Okay, neither do I. You see
I'm
anything
not
wrong?
saying Maybe pay more attention, but
Yeah.
that's, I mean,
Well,
good grief, that's all you can ever
Well,
say.
the guy was kind of crouching down behind the truck. I'm not
Yeah,
sure.
you're not
I'm a
gonna
little
see him.
distracted by my date.
Yeah, I don't see that happening. Yeah.
I
It's
mean,
going to happen from time to time.
Hopefully.
yeah,
We
yeah.
can only hope
And
that we
the,
get
the
distracted
evening
appropriately.
sounds very promising.
Yep.
You know, so I may not be looking underneath the car for feet. This time we're going to show you the ending, and I know we'll have some comments.
Shut it down.
Call 911.
Is he dead?
Nope.
Okay. Hello? My boyfriend just shot a guy. Is he still breathing?
Looks like.
I think we need an ambulance.
All right. Here's the first thing I saw. He completely surrendered to the bad guy. And I'm not saying this is wrong. I'm just saying he completely surrendered. He's, okay, fine. He takes the purse from girlfriend, wife, throws it down on the ground, complying completely with what's going on, which I actually think put the bad guy at ease. He has given instructions to his significant other to move to the back of the truck. That was great. That was absolutely great. I thought that was great. And then he takes and he removes, saying that he has credit card and cash, obviously holding it up here high enough to get his attention, and then not dropping it in front where he dropped the purse, but in fact dropped it on the side. When we come back, we'll hear from the panel. Welcome back, shooters. Kathy, what'd you see?
I loved the fact that the couple was working together. They were working as a team. I love to see that. I love to see that when he directed her, you know, he took the purse, she immediately got behind cover. I thought that was brilliant.
Right, and he told her to go behind the truck, and it wasn't like, why? She just went.
Yes.
Which was very
That's
nice.
that's the trick. Yeah,
right.
and that's part of
That's
that.
a big
That
thing.
tells me
Yeah.
they've thought about this.
Or
Now-
at least that she listens.
Or at least she listens, right? Okay, we got to be careful in
be a
that
real
area.
thing.
Well, I mean, you know, maybe she's the one that's giving the orders to him. Either way, if a family member tells you to do something in those situations and you know that they've planned it out, they've trained it, you may not have worked, what I'm getting at is they may not have worked together as a team, but simply she knows, hey, maybe she just started dating this guy. It was the impression we got, you know, okay, they're dating. She knows he's a gun guy. She knows he might have thought about this situation before. Just do what he says.
Yeah.
Right.
No, I think
That was a good thing.
hand in hand with that, it doesn't matter if it's an off-duty cop or someone with a carry concealed license. The fact that you talk to your girlfriend
Absolutely.
or wife or your family members about what they should do if something like this happens. You don't necessarily have to have a perfect plan of when you're by my truck, you need to get back there, but talk about the possible ways to get out of the line of fire.
Okay, you know what? You're touching on a subject here I think that is really important, and that is if you are concealed carry, do you announce that to the people that you are with? Okay, you're going out to dinner with you know, your significant other, and you know, maybe you're not married, so you pick her up, and maybe it's the first date. I'm going to make it a real difficult scenario. Do you say to her, I am carrying. If anything goes wrong, listen to me. Would you say that? Would you, I shortened it, of course, but I mean, don't you think that maybe if you are going out, let's say you're going out with 6 friends, you're all going someplace, and you pile in a big truck, and you're heading off. Do you owe some responsibility to the people around you that you are armed, and if anything goes wrong, folks, I'm going to be the guy that's armed?
No.
No.
No, I'm not going to, especially you to describe that scenario, first date. Chances are, anyway, anybody that I'm going on a date with probably has some idea, right? But if not, if it's just a group of friends, somebody I've never met before, I'm not going to start the whole night off by, hey, by the way, guess what? If a terrorist comes in, I got your back, everything's going to be fine. Now, I know several people who might do that, and I don't know how many dates they get. You know what I mean?
And I think you're right, too, in that if you advertise that to the people that you're with. Let's say that there is a situation that comes up. Yeah, well, James is packing.
Right.
Yeah.
Shoot him.
Yeah.
Shoot him.
So that might backfire for you.
Right.
Okay, Kat, how do you feel?
Well, I agree with these guys. Absolutely right. I'm not going to be telling people who don't already know that I'm carrying a gun for exactly that reason. I don't want somebody saying, hey, Kathy, shoot it.
But if you don't, Kathy, if you don't, and something goes wrong, and you are needed to come forward, or you choose to come forward, shouldn't there be some sort of an idea with the group of people around you?
You can do that with your demeanor.
Or six or other. Shouldn't they have some idea that you're the guy that's probably going to come forward if the case arises?
Or girl.
Or girl, I'm sorry.
You know, the stealth
tough.
thing is highly underrated. You know, one of the advantages that I have as a woman is that I know that the bad guy is more likely to fixate on the guy that they think will fight back. And so I've got that stealth thing going for me. Why in the world would I mess that up? You know, I'm going to stay with that.
Okay,
My family all know that if something happens and I'm not acting right then, I'm not doing something right then, it's not because I've forgotten that I'm carrying a gun. They just need to be patient. And I have that conversation with everybody who needs to know that I'm carrying.
Okay, so
but outside of that, I don't tell people I'm carrying.
Yeah, I think that's key, that she's having the conversation with the people who need to know, the people that she's going to be with a lot, who you can expect to be in a situation with if it does arise. If you're out with 6 friends, those might not be the 6 friends that you're always with. It might be a group date of new people that you've just met. Who's to say?
Okay, well, I think it's an interesting point here. I somehow feel like I should, and you have to be careful with this because you want to sound like a, some kind of a wacko with a gun. But on the other hand, it seems to me that you might want to alert someone that you are armed in your group.
Why?
So if I don't know, if something goes wrong, everybody doesn't go crazy and all of a sudden they don't know what to do. I don't know.
I'm not going to have like a mission briefing before we go out to the pizza parlor. You know, I just don't say that. Wait a minute, let me check the internet. Yeah, there are 6 people that are doing that, except they're playing video games at home. They're not going out. You know, they're not living their lives. Right. You got to live your life. You got to move on. But at that moment, I'll tell you what I have done. When certain things have started to happen, I have said, hey, just chill out, let me talk to this guy or something as someone approaches us, or hey, get behind me, or hey, move over here for a second, or I'll just put myself in a position to be between the panhandler and my date or whatever it is, and just let it happen because at that time, if that's my role, that I'm going to be the assertive, protective one, then so be it. And if Kathy's going to take that role with her family at that moment, they're going to recognize those cues. But if it's someone who's not immediately aware, what I'm hearing you say is it's just going to happen.
Okay. You want to add to that?
I think if you're the one that has the responsibility of carrying a firearm.
This is kind of like the designated driver kind of a situation.
In a way, yeah. But if you're willing to take on that responsibility, if you choose to act, that responsibility is going to be yours ultimately. And you need to be conscious of what the other people are doing around you. You can't ignore that and just focus in on that threat. You have to be aware of the other
for a second. What you just said, like the designated driver, well, how many times do we know that people have acted foolishly or done something they might not have done, like drink more alcohol than they would have on a normal night because they knew or felt in their head, oh, well, James is a designated driver, I can be an idiot. Right? And all of a sudden, maybe the same thing plays over if you're supposed to be the responsible protector guy. I'm not doing an executive protection profile here. I'm going out to dinner.
Okay. Kathy?
I think when it's time to take charge, big dogs don't yap. You don't need to do all the yip, yip, yip beforehand. Just take care of business when the thing happens.
Okay, right. Well, I think we've all agreed that there's a point in which we discuss with people that we are armed, and there's a point where we don't. When we come back, we'll hear more. Shooters, welcome back. We'd like to talk a little bit more about what takes place after the shooting now. We've seen the lead up. We've seen that he's handled himself well. Bang, bang went. Now what? Who wants to go with that?
Oh, I'll go with that. I think we all agree. We were talking during the break that the distraction was good. The shooting was good. The balance of speed and precision was good. He got the hit. I think his volume of fire was good. I mean, he fired a shot. He thought the guy was down. He got back up. He decided he needed to fire another shot. And again, this is where that immediate aftermath of the shooting, it becomes so crucial. The shooting's kind of the easy part, right? Close distance, you know, big target, this and that. People obsess over marksmanship, but then they think they're, you know, Kojak running up on the bad guy, kicking guns and hovering right over him, instead of just staying where they're safe. Again, distance.
Right. So you would not have recommended then standing over him?
No, in fact, backing up.
Not.
In fact, backing up. He kicked the weapon away. I thought that was a good move.
Doesn't need to.
Given that he was standing on top of the weapon, kicking it away was a good move. However, he shouldn't have been standing right there. He should have been creating distance. He sent his girlfriend behind that good cover of the truck. Why didn't he
and then brought her back out.
immediately move back behind that?
Oh, okay, all right.
Yeah, the suspect's still alive. Who knows? Maybe he's got a second weapon. You never can tell.
Or another guy.
Yeah.
Or maybe he's not alone.
Plus one.
Oh, who knows?
You know,
maybe he's not alone.
Yeah, just because it's over doesn't mean it's over, and that's really the message that you need to get across to people: is it's not over yet.
Okay. Everybody happy with the way that went then? Except didn't like the final few minutes, right? Don't close up on the bad guy when he's down. I think the advice here then is to back away, shelter yourself and the person that you're with if you're with someone.
And I can't get out of this segment without talking about the extended ready position. And I don't know what the guy was doing with cocking the gun and decocking the gun. I don't know what all that business was all about. You know, just stop messing with your guns and keep that gun in close so that if the other guy does come around the corner, you're not running around like a 1970s cop show.
Actually, that's a pretty good point because I really hadn't thought about that. I thought the guy did okay, but you're probably right. Back away from the problem.
Back away from the problem, get behind cover. If there's cover there,
the known problem.
The known problem,
right.
Yes.
Yeah, it's the unknown that you got to worry about.
Right. Okay. All right. So everybody's happy with the way the lady handled herself?
I'll say the same thing. She shouldn't have come out from behind cover, but when she did to get her phone, then she kneeled down and, you know, sat right there next to the bad guy. Even if you think about the positioning, right? The good guy goes around the back. He's up at the head end of the bad guy. She's at the foot end of the bad guy. If that guy sits up and reaches for the gun, good guy is shooting right towards his girl, even if we're talking about the splash off the asphalt. So, I mean, just really, it kind of all fell apart after the shooting.
Hey, shooters, just before we left, though, Richard brought up a good point about 911, and this is a critical time in this situation. Go.
With everyone having cell phones, you might have had someone else in that parking lot witnessing this crime. They might have already called 911. The problem is that when they call in, they're going to speak with a 911 dispatcher who is going to then call a police dispatcher to dispatch that officer. So by the time that female got around to calling 911, an officer might be arriving on scene with the idea that this is a robbery in progress or a simple disturbance.
Depending upon what the call was.
Depending upon what the call was.
And if it had been shots, hey, I heard some shots in the parking lot, then that's where, you know, I want to say to Rob, I don't know, I think I want to lose my gun. I think I want to put that in the back of the truck or something, back away from it.
The officer's going to come up there, and he's going to, if he sees you waving the gun, another reason not to have that extended ready position, not to be hovering over a body on the ground, all these things. Now, you're probably going to get guns pointed at you. It's probably going to happen anyway, because if I'm a patrol officer, and when I was a patrol officer, if I get a shots fired kind of call, I'm going to show up, and I'm already thinking my gun needs to be coming out. I need to be ready. I need to be prepared. I need to be eyes up. Everyone wearing a jacket is not going to get a gun pointed at them. So that gun shouldn't be left in the bed of the truck. It shouldn't be thrown down on the ground. It shouldn't be hanging by the trigger guard in your hand. It should be back in the holster. You hear the sirens, you see the flashy red and blue lights, put the gun in your holster, cover it up, show your hands. Now it's up to the officer to be well trained and do what he's supposed to do.
You know, I've even suggested, and go with me on this one for a second, I've even suggested that when you make the 911 call, give a physical description of yourself.
5 things.
Absolutely.
Okay. I'm the guy in the black leather jacket. My wife or my significant other is wearing red. We're the good guys.
Yeah.
The bad guy is laying down on the ground.
Yeah.
You know, I don't mean that, but I mean that. You know, I think wouldn't that help the 911?
It'd help a lot, and especially if you're just arriving on scene and you don't know exactly what you're getting yourself into. If you're just arriving on scene and you're given a clothing description, a physical description of the person who was being held up but has now shot the suspect, then you can kind of ratchet yourself down a little bit. You're not going to be so on guard.
Okay, and you can't depend upon 911 asking you for a physical description of yourself.
No, you should know. People talk about you have the card, memorize what you're going to say. Well, you don't know if you're going to be at your house, your sister's house, whatever, but you should know the things you're going to say, and that's the location, as you said. It's the fact that you're armed. It's the situation you're dealing with. It's the bad guy's description, and the fifth thing we always say is your description. You know, make sure that the police officer already has in his head the guy in the gray jacket, he's a good guy.
Okay, how about giving your name to 911?
Usually they ask for that. They usually ask for
that's
all
a pretty standard, and I can't say I've called enough 911 to know that, but if that's just standard procedure, as far as I know, I guess that's probably the correct
tactically
thing.
Irrelevant. It has nothing to do with you staying alive, and it has little to do with the officer not knowing you're the bad guy. He's not looking for name tags when he shows up, but he might be looking at the color of your jacket.
Might be looking at the color of jackets. That's the most obvious thing that he will find. Hey,
I would add one thing to that. If you're wearing a hat or sunglasses or something like that, those could get knocked off if the tables get turned. So stick with a description of stuff that's not going to change in the amount of time. Which would be your actual clothing.
Okay, your actual
things that are
article of clothing that you're wearing, and they already have your name.
Yeah.
So the black and white rolls up, officer rolls out. He's going to be looking. Goes, okay, the guy in the black leather jacket's supposed to be the good guy, and if you're
it's already planted
innocent
in his head. And that human behavior is very predictable. If that's what he is preconditioned to believe, then you get that extra half second to say, whoa, whoa, whoa.
Okay, I know we're running short, but I want to ask you one question. Should I say to 911, I've just shot someone?
Absolutely.
Why not?
Yeah, definitely.
Definitely not.
I think you should. I really do. I think you should.
Okay. I want to thank you all because I think we have another show coming up just to discuss 911 because there's a lot of controversy over one way or another how to handle that call. But I want to thank you all for coming on. I think we've learned a lot. I hope you have two viewers. I hope that you will contact me with any comments you may have, and we'll see you again next week. Be safe, be trained, and be alert.